New Orleans 2025 travel guide. This is during Mardi Gras. Okay, so this video, this guy came to Mardi Gras. Jimmy Carnes, I believe, is the channel. So I have lived in New Orleans for almost 5 years now, in the French Quarter specifically. So who better to watch this video than me? Let's go ahead and start, react along the way.
With history, music, and mystery. The jazz spills into the streets, the scent of Creole cooking lingers in the air, and if you listen closely, you just might hear the whispers of a few thousand drunks. It's a place where voodoo legends mix with late-night debauchery, and Mardi Gras, one of the biggest parties in America. So what's it like to experience New Orleans for the first time with a crew of old friends, zero restraint, in a city that never slows down? We went all in, pushed our limits, and somehow, mostly, made it out alive.
I mean, that's the best case scenario. Best case scenario is, you roll up to New Orleans, group of friends, and you got no limitations at all. Like, you got nothing to do, no reason not to go all in, and just have a good time. The best thing to do in New Orleans is just explore and just adventure. And that's what I did when I first moved here. For the first probably year, every Saturday, every Sunday, or most of them, I would just go walk around, and I would just go to different bars, and I would just go to different restaurants, and I would just try different places, and that's the best way to do it. I see people all the time do the walking tours or the hop on, hop off bus tours. Just do it yourself. I'm telling you, walk around, explore, pop into a dive bar, have a drink here, have a drink there, try some food here, try some food there. Let the city kind of be your guide.
Here's your front row seat to the madness.
What up, YouTube? Big Jim here, coming to you live from New Orleans, Louisiana, down here in the French Quarter at the French Market Inn Hotel. I just checked in, and I'm actually in town, meeting up with a bunch of buddies. We are here because it's Mardi Gras, and I've never been to New Orleans, never been to Mardi Gras. I don't even think I've been to Louisiana before, so not sure what kind of trouble we're going to get into, but if you'd like to follow along and see what it's like to visit New Orleans your first time and get a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, a little bit drunk, this will be.
The thing about Mardi Gras that's kind of interesting in New Orleans is that, or especially the French Quarter, is that a lot of the Mardi Gras happens like uptown. A lot of the parades and stuff happen uptown. So the parades, like very few parades actually go through the French Quarter. The only ones that go through are like the dog parade, and some happen like down Decatur, but most of them are uptown. So it's like, if you're looking to catch beads and whatnot, hanging out in the French Quarter is probably not the place to go. Canal Street is right off of the French Quarter. And, obviously big parades go down there. You could certainly do your bead and moon pie catching in that area. But really, the quarter is the same all year long. Mardi Gras just makes it more packed. That's really it. Like, Bourbon Street will just be more packed. The quarter will just be more packed. The restaurants will be more packed. But as far as what is actually happening, it's pretty similar all the time.
Be it.
Okay, so the first stop on the adventure was just a few doors down from the hotel, the Crescent City Brew House.
Okay, yeah, so he's like right off Decatur right now. So this is where like some parades will come down right in front of here. This little strip suite, you got like Cafe Beignet here. Cafe Maspero is down here. Great spot to stop in for a little sandwich. Sit at the bar. They have an amazing pastrami sandwich. I go to Cafe Maspero all the time. It's Curio and Cafe Maspero are probably my two most visited restaurants, just because it's so easy to pop in, sit at the bar, have a sandwich or something else. This brew house is cool though. It's all right. This place just opened up. I love Nudes. It's a dim sum restaurant down here. If you like dim sum, not bad.
A few doors down from the hotel, the Crescent City Brew House. This is where my 10 buddies who had flown in were all hanging out after their flights arrived. We all came from different parts of the country: Chicago, Columbus, San Francisco, Portland. It was great to see everyone. It was like no time had passed.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Buddy, good to see you, man.
From there, we headed over to historic Jackson Square to try to catch our first Mardi Gras parade.
All right, yeah, see, they already messed up. Like, they're going to Jackson Square to catch a Mardi Gras parade. There will not be one here unless it is the dog Barkus, the dog parade. But yeah, this is just for buskers. This is just for music artists during the weekend. Around the gates of Jackson Square, artists hang their paintings and whatnot. You have like poetry readings. You got mediums are telling you your future, and then you got some good spots around. So Stanley's is straight across. Muriel's is right there. Behind it is can't remember the name of it, but there's like a to-go drink thing right behind where this camera is pointing. So good spot to get a drink. Fives Bar is over here next to Stanley's. Fives Bar is awesome. It's like an oyster kind of bar. Very nice drinks, kind of upscale, but really good martinis. Their Columns Martini, I think it's like their house martini. Would recommend.
Great.
My first hurricane of the trip.
Yeah, that's Lord have mercy. So they're actually right here. They're at that to go. This is that to go place I'm talking about. Man, what is the name of that place? Man, it's something cafe. But yeah, I mean the hurricane. It's so sweet. I'm just not a sweet drink person. Like sugar, I do not do well with sugar. If I ingest a lot of sugar, I'll feel like absolute garbage. I've only had a handful of, maybe not even a handful, maybe 2 or 3 hurricanes since I've lived here, and they've all been from Patos. But yeah, here, good Bloody Mary though. This is a good spot for a Bloody Mary, a mimosa, a screwdriver, beer, something like that. Just grab it, plastic cup it, walk around.
Cheers. Cheers. It's good.
This was February, but it's New Orleans, so I was expecting it to be a little bit warmer than it was, but the wind was blowing and it was freezing on Jackson Square.
Well, we were down at Jackson Square for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, and it was so cold there. I had to come back and...
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about the South is that it can get really, really cold because it's so humid. Like, it's so wet that if it is windy, if the temperatures are below 50, really, it's going to be cold. And New Orleans does have a lot of wind tunnels because of the way the city's built. So it can be windy AF just walking around the quarter, even if it's not necessarily that windy outside. So yeah, I mean, it gets super cold. I mean, you know, we just had 13 inches of snow or whatever this winter, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, I remember when I lived in Biloxi, but during the polar vortex or whatever in like I don't know what that was, like 2012, somewhere in there, 2013. And it was like 9 degrees, you know, so it can definitely get cold down here.
Put on an extra t-shirt, a sweater.
This guy's bundled up. Damn.
I had no idea that New Orleans would be this cold. Anyway, party on.
Yeah.
I made it back to Jackson Square just in time to catch the parade. This parade...
Yeah, like these are little baby parades. Like these are little baby hitters. Like that's, I guess, what's kind of funny about it is that like these like walking parades, I wouldn't even really consider a parade. I would consider a parade like the big floats and the big to-dos and whatever. But I guess if you've never been to Mardi Gras, the walking parades are a parade. But yeah, as far as like the floats and all of that, you're not going to catch that obviously down here.
The parade was organized by the Crew of Cork. Crews are social clubs that organize...
Man, I was down here for this. I saw the Crew of Cork. Me and this was during Super Bowl weekend, right? Or it had to be around that time because, or not Super Bowl weekend, but right around it, because a friend of mine came down. Was it Super Bowl day? I'm trying to think why he would have been down. But he was down, and me and him were walking around. And, man, what in the world were we doing down there? But I remember seeing the Crew of Cork, because I didn't even realize that it was going on. Man, I gotta try and figure out why I was down there. But I was down there during. I might be able to see me somewhere.
Parades, balls, and other parties during Mardi Gras. This one had a marching band, people dressed in crazy outfits, floats, even a performance by the Baton Rouge Beignets dance troupe. There's a really great website that provides a schedule and descriptions of all the daily parades throughout Mardi Gras. It's super.
Yeah, if you live in New Orleans, obviously you know about this, but this is huge, like for me, because of traffic. Like to know like the parade routes, what time they start, what time they stop, so I can go to the store, so I can do all that stuff and not get caught. I live in what's called the grid of death, where at a certain point, like Mardi Gras runs basically for a month, and certain days you have like 4 parades back to back to back to back. So if you leave your apartment or house or wherever, you really can't get back, and you certainly can't drive back. So you got to be really aware. You kind of have to treat it like a hurricane. Like you got to kind of stock up on goods. You can't go to the store every day.
Super helpful. I'll post a link in the description so you can check it out. And if this video helps you out, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more cool travel videos and guides. It really helps me out. After the parade, we grabbed a few beers and headed back to our hotel, the French Market Inn.
Right.
If you're looking for a hotel in New Orleans, I highly recommend the French Market Inn. It's very nice. It's in an awesome location right near Jackson Square, yeah. Café du Monde, walking distance to Bourbon Street, but far enough away from all the madness so it's not super crazy and loud.
Just 10
From the hotel, we headed out again because we had dinner.
Now, this is what life is all about right here. The Royal Street walking, like walking in the quarter like this is just as good as it gets. this is what it's all about. And I'll tell you this about New Orleans too. Like, it's dangerous or whatever, like, and it can be, but if you stay in the populated areas and you do not go down side streets, you do not walk like in unlit areas or dim areas or off the beaten path, if you stay in the city or you stay in populated areas, lit up, stay with the crowd, you'll be okay. At that point, you just got to worry about pickpockets and whatnot. Don't carry your phone in your back pocket. But that's kind of like big city. I mean, that's any city. Don't carry your phone in your back pocket. Don't carry your wallet back there. Keep it all in front.
Reservations at
Another little trick is if you're carrying a wallet, if you can, try and split up your stuff. So don't have all your credit cards in your wallet. Have one credit card in your pocket, one in your wallet, cash in your pocket, wallet in the other one. That way, if you do get pickpocketed, you don't lose all your stuff. Also, take one card. If you're going out and I'm only going to use one credit card, and you've got 4 in your wallet, leave them in your hotel room. Just carry one. There's no reason to have your 2 credit cards, a debit card, $100 in cash, and your ID, like all that stuff on you if you don't have to.
fine dining establishment on Rampart Street called Palm and Pine.
Palm and Pine's cool. Palm and Pine's awesome. So, I wouldn't call it fine dining. No offense to Palm and Pine. It's certainly casual enough. You can walk in there. I've been in there a million times. Just end of the day, walking around. They're kind of like a Caribbean, South American, Latin American kind of vibe with some Creole. They have like banana ketchup. They have really good palomas, smoked palomas specifically. They make masa in the back. They have like an open kitchen where they're making the masa. Now, I will say about Palm and Pine, at least recently, every single time I've been in there, it's like a burlesque show. So sometimes you do get caught, and that's kind of New Orleans for you, but Palm and Pine specifically, I think the last 3 or 4 times I've gone has been a burlesque show. And if you're not about that life, just know it could possibly happen. But I like to go. They change their menu all the time too. It's a seasonal menu situation. So if you're like looking up the menu online, it could change. I think I like it for like a beer and a shot. Like I said, a Paloma. It's a very tequila heavy menu. The food is kind of wacky. I think they've changed it a little bit now to be a little bit more all inclusive. But it used to be like, all right, oxtail or fish cheeks, banana ketchup, fried plantains, blistered shishito pepper, like that kind of menu.
Palm and Pine serves a diverse menu of Southern, Mexican, Central American, New Orleans cuisine, as well as creative cocktails, and it has a cozy atmosphere with a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah.
We opted to reserve the private dining room in the back so we could hide our general debauchery and untoward behavior from the other guests, which in hindsight was a pretty good idea. I can't remember.
Yeah, so what do they serve? So right here they're serving you like, all right, cornmeal fried oysters, corner store crudo. We got tamarind braised greens, lemongrass fried chicken gumbo, sticky grilled rib tips, butter beans, Texas barbecue shrimp, sumac bronzed goldfish, beef fat griddled wagyu, corn babies. It's actually a pretty normalized menu.
Remember everything we ate there, but it was all delicious. We sampled their menu, had corn babies, catfish, P&P salad, butter beans, rib tips, wagyu beef, and of course cocktails like the Sazerac and a delicious assortment of IPAs.
See, I like, again, no, nothing against Palm and Pine, but this isn't. It's something else about New Orleans too. Like, not every place is a Sazerac place, a hurricane place, a whatever place. Like, there are themes, there are aesthetics. Like Palm and Pine, I wouldn't have got the Sazerac. I would have went more for that tequila-based Central American kind of fare.
It was a wonderful dinner, and I highly recommend the Palm and Pine.
Yeah, it's cool.
After working up a thirst at the restaurant, we all crammed in Ubers and headed east of the French Quarter to an area called Frenchman Street.
Yeah, so Frenchman Street. So this is a good move to get into an Uber. I've heard a lot of people try and walk from the French Quarter to Frenchman Street. That can get a little dicey. Would absolutely Uber. I wouldn't walk because you're going to go through some pretty dim lit areas. I don't ever go in this area. I don't ever go to Frenchman. I don't ever go to the Marigny or the Bywater or any of that stuff. I stay to French Quarter, CBD, Arts District. That's pretty much my vibe.
Frenchman Street was originally known as a hidden gem for locals who enjoy live music, but it's probably just as touristy as all the other areas now. Still, it's definitely a neighborhood to check out with lots of cool live music venues, bars, and awesome nightlife. We started out the legendary live music venue DBA, where we caught an authentic New Orleans brass band. I can't say I've ever really been a big fan of horns, but I was definitely enjoying this.
I love live music. Like, it's one of my favorite things. You go
Eventually,
walk
we
around,
wandered across the street to
catch
another
some
music
live
club called the
music,
Spotted Cat,
let it
where
rip.
we had another band, which was also awesome. New Orleans, as you would imagine and hope, is definitely one of America's greatest music cities, right up there with Nashville and Austin. Every band we saw was top-notch, most of it free, too. I think the Spotted Cat was the only bar that even made us pay a cover. At this point, it was about 2 a.m., and I'd been awake for almost
Lord have
24 hours
mercy.
because of my early flight from California. I was drunk, running on fumes, and it was definitely time for me to grab an Uber and
Damn,
head back to
2
the
a.m.
hotel. That was the end of night one. Day
you
two
go.
started with the unrealistic plan of grabbing a quick breakfast at Café du Monde, but as you can see from the line, that didn't work out very well.
Yeah, I mean, the good news about Café du Monde, or places like Café du Monde, is that there's a lot of options. Right? There's like 8 different cafe beignets around the French Quarter. Café du Monde's got a couple different areas. Chicory coffee is chicory coffee. Beignets are beignets, right? So I understand if you're here for the first time, you want to do it, but yeah.
So we headed across Jackson Square to the Corner Oyster House. I was suffering from a low-grade hangover, so I started my morning with some hazy IPA and coffee, and then moved on to the most delicious red beans and rice I've ever had in my life.
That's what's so funny. Like, and I hear this all the time, is people will come here for the first time. They'll have red beans at like the most random place, or gumbo at the most random place. And this is going to sound like one of those things, but where a local would never think to have red beans or gumbo or whatever. And it's like, wow, this is the greatest thing I've ever had in my entire life. And it's like, whew, man. A hangover. The good thing about New Orleans is that the remedies are available. New Orleans is like the brunch drink capital of the world. Like drinking in the morning, like bitters and soda, or a Bloody Mary, or a mimosa, or whatever. I always talk about Aaron Rose. Aaron Rose has a morning happy hour, which is like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that, where it's like $2 mimosas, $3 screwdrivers, $2 Bloody Marys. Every place is like that. Milk punch, just it's so easy to imbibe in New Orleans, which is, I'm not splitting the atom here, but like a lot of places are buy one get one. I remember I went to Daisy Dukes. I used to go to Daisy Dukes all the time. They ended up closing their French Quarter spot for a long time. They were renovating, but I used to go to the one in the CBD all the time. Daisy Dukes runs a 24-hour like diner, but they also run buy one get one free drinks all the time. And I went there late night, loose as a goose, and I got a Bloody Mary. Guy brings out 2, and I'm thinking like, man, even when you're trying to downshift, it's very difficult to in New Orleans.
After breakfast, I walked across Decatur Street to check out the mighty Mississippi
Great
River.
walk. Great
I caught a
walk.
glimpse of a cool paddle wheeler called the Creole Queen that was slowly rolling on the river. Some real Mark Twain and John Fogerty stuff right here.
Yeah, great walk.
From the river, I took a nice
we're
stroll
back.
through the French Quarter and ended.
All right, now we're on Bourbon. Now we're in the thick of it. Okay, now we're as far as like Pados, I know Pados is kind of a touristy spot, but the courtyard is awesome, and it is a super fun place to go. No doubt about it. Like, if you want to pop into Pados, get a drink, keep walking, cool. But their courtyard is
Ended up
awesome.
on Bourbon Street to see what it would look like before it descended into chaos later in the day. While I was up there, I actually ran into Jerome, who had picked up beignets from Café du Monde.
There you go.
I'd never had one before, so I got to experience my first beignet. Beignets are kind of like chewy donuts covered with powdered sugar, a legendary New Orleans treat.
Like a donut.
If you've ever Googled New Orleans, you've probably seen a picture of this beautiful old building. It's called the...
Yeah, so this Rouse's is so funny because I go to this Rouse's all the time, and I couldn't imagine working there because you're hearing, because like these guys play in front of it, and they're really good. But they play all day, and you got like live music all day. You got people everywhere. It's a really small Rouse's, but I couldn't imagine working there.
La Branch House, and it's supposed to be haunted by at least 2 different ghosts. It's at the corner of St. Peter and Royal Streets if you're looking for it. Outside the La Branch House was another top-notch band providing a beautiful soundtrack to a lovely Saturday.
This area, at least recently, has become the spot for bands, and you have to really be good and legit to play right here. I've seen people get pushed off the spot. I've seen, this is a coveted spot, I guess because of the La Branch House, but Royal Street is my favorite street, no doubt. Love walking up and down Royal. It's right off Bourbon, but it's way less of Bourbon, right? It's more artsy. Not that I'm an artistic guy, but you get to look at the art. You get to kind of chill, relax. It's not as intense.
Saturday morning in the French Quarter. Sometime after that, I caught up with the crew again, and it was time to get back in the saddle. So our first stop was the Saddle Bar in the French Quarter, basically because it was the first bar we saw. It was kind of a goofy place with saddles for bar stools and beer pong, which is always a great idea when you're starting a long day of drinking. From the Saddle Bar, we wandered around the corner to Bourbon Street. It was almost noon, and so we dipped into the first bar we found with live music, called The Drinkery. Again, there was another top-notch band playing free music. The Drinkery was not free, though, and it was interesting that the price of beers doubled in just a half-block walk. They were about $4 at the Saddle Bar and then $8 at the Drinkery, which was still cheaper than back home in San Francisco. After a few drinks at the Drinkery, a few of our crew wandered off to see another parade, while the rest of us headed deeper into the...
Yeah, like this is, just a second line. Like, the idea of a parade is interesting.
Belly of the Bourbon Street Beast to find some fun. Given that there was a tragic terrorist attack on Bourbon Street just a month before we were there, I was actually kind of surprised that you could still drive cars on Bourbon Street. I thought they would have ended that.
Well, this is IV Waste, so this is the cleanup crew. So IV Waste they were contracted out to be basically the cleaners of the street. So if during the night and early morning, Bourbon Street and the French Quarter does get cleaned. It gets like pressure washed. There's like these, I don't even know what they're called, but they almost they just straight up wash the city. And that's how they try and handle the trash and the disgustingness. Because it does get pretty bad. I remember walking around, this was like 2 New Years ago, but I walked around on New Year's Day. I actually went to that Rouse's, and there was throw up and all kind of stuff everywhere. And so I think the city is trying to do a little bit more, or has been at least trying to keep it a bit more clean. Not that it means anything, but I think IV Waste has done a decent job.
I've always wanted to hang out on the Bourbon Street balcony, so we found a bar with a balcony called The Swamp and ventured inside. The Swamp was a fabulous college meat market type dance club that hadn't quite warmed up yet this early in the day. Inside the Swamp, it was pretty...
Only time I've ever done the balcony thing, I did it during Mardi Gras. I was invited to a Caesars, or I guess at the time it was Harrah's, the casino, like a VIP area, and you got like 2 bags of beads, and you got an access to the bar or the balcony. You could throw beads off the balcony, so I did that. That was the only time I've ever done it, though.
Pretty much a dump, as you can see, but there was a nice view from the balcony. The balcony itself was actually pretty sketchy. It had kind of a slight lean, and you could feel it shaking with just a few people on it. I really wouldn't want to be out there at night when it's packed with 100
Mambo's has a cool rooftop balcony point. It's also on Bourbon.
drunk college kids, and they're dancing around, and it's shaking and moving because it didn't feel too safe. All over Bourbon Street, there are these fake monks who try to scam people by trying to...
Yeah, these monks are the worst. There's so many of them. You can see them. I mean, they're wearing, like, I always make fun... Well, not make fun of them, but I always say, like, what monks do you know wear hokas? They're all wearing hokas and New Balance and, like, Saucony and all these shoes. They're giving away these beads. I mean, it's the same scam. Like, there used to be a scam. I don't see him anymore, but it used to be this guy with, like, hats. And he had, like, 40 hats. And he'd hand you a hat, and then he'd give you the spiel, and then he'd charge you for the hat. Like stuff like that. Same thing here. They hand you the bead, they give you the spiel, they charge you for the bead. I just keep it moving. You do not have to engage. You do not have to say, no thank you. You do not have to say, I'll pass. You do not have to say, not for me. You can just keep it moving. You can just give them one of these. Give them a, whatever. It's very normal. There are people who... They have a snake. They'll put the snake on you, charge you for a picture with the snake. There are guys who say, hey, I bet I know where you got those shoes. And then they'll say like America or the internet or whatever, a store. And they'll charge you $2 for that. So just blow by them. Keep going past them. Do not engage with these guys. And they are absolute scam artists. They are the worst.
And to get them to buy beaded bracelets. Shane actually found one of these bracelets and messed with this scammer by trying to offer it to him first. He kind of didn't know what to do.
Yeah, just keep it moving.
At this point, we walked back to the drinkery and found the other half of our crew now on the balcony. Bourbon Street was starting to heat up, and it was nice to have this entire upstairs.
Yeah, there's a bar right next to Desire where they just show up the Absinthe Bar. Go there all the time. Super cool. You don't have to drink absinthe.
The drinkery all to ourselves for a while. I didn't expect to hear an America cover on Bourbon Street. After a quick break to eat a shrimp po' boy, which is a traditional New Orleans sandwich, we backtracked back down to Bourbon Street to get back into the mix of things. Shane and I must have decided that we wanted bellyaches, so we ordered a pair of these
Yeah, pass. I have not had a hand grenade since I was about 19. I haven't even thought about one. That you talk about be sick.
hand grenade drinks that they sell everywhere on Bourbon Street. Radioactive green and sticky sweet. They're supposed to be the strongest mixed drinks that you can buy on Bourbon Street at about 24% alcohol.
I remember when I was a kid, well, not a kid, but like I said, when I was 17, 18, 19, we were coming down to Bourbon Street, just acting up. There was hand grenades, rat attacks, and they used to be sold in like a plastic rat. Cherry bombs, which was basically cherry syrup and Everclear. Am I missing any? Those were like the drinks that we would get to blackout town the quickest.
Not sure about that, but it definitely got us drunk.
I don't think they're as strong anymore. I don't think they still kind of hold that, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine drinking a hand grenade.
Bead necklaces are the official currency of Bourbon Street, and you'll see them being tossed from balconies at all hours of the day. It's common to see old people on the balconies with an armful of expensive and elaborate beads, distributing their wealth by tossing them down to the beadless youth in the streets. Although,
keep your head up. I'll tell you that. Keep your head on a swivel. If you're not watching, especially during Mardi Gras, you will get absolutely clipped with a bead. Beads hurt like hell. So, yeah, if you're walking around during Mardi Gras, keep your head up, keep it on a swivel.
pretty young girls are usually the preferred target. Bead throwers will still occasionally toss one to deserving middle-aged men like ourselves, if you make enough commotion.
Yeah.
The old Absinthe House has been...
yeah, great. This place is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an absinthe guy. I don't like licorice. I don't like the taste of licorice, but it's a nice little bar. I like the bars with, like the infrastructure in New Orleans is not great. All these buildings are super old, so during the summer they get really hot, and no place has like AC pumping. So I like bars where it's basically open, like these, with like just doors and stuff everywhere, where you can kind of see out, you can still hear things, you can still, you're not just inside, because sometimes it can feel real sticky and real congested. Absinthe House is cool. It's a bar. That's all it is a bar, and it wraps around the entire thing, or it's like a circle, so you can sit around the bar the entire thing. Not a good spot for Bloody Marys. A really solid Bloody Mary situation.
Pouring drinks for pirates and presidents at this location since the early 1800s. When we walked in, we were so thrilled to see our alma mater, Ohio University Bobcats, randomly playing basketball on TV that we had to celebrate with one of their famous absinthe drips.
Fuck OSHA. But I am NCCER certified, so we're good. We're good.
This drink was a fantastic idea following that hand grenade.
Like drinking black licorice.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't like it. Not a fan.
The old Absinthe House is a must-visit bar on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, it's cool. Good spot.
From there, we wandered down Bourbon Street to where it ended at Canal Street and fought our way through another parade.
Yeah, so Canal, you can see some parades, like actual parades, especially like Endymion, stuff like that. That the really big ones that go down until they take a right on, I think, Chop.
We were in search of the historic Roosevelt Hotel so that we could have a drink.
Roosevelt's awesome. Love the Roosevelt. Go all the time. Domenica's awesome. It's an Italian restaurant on the bottom of it. Really good pizza, good happy hours, good pasta. Can't say enough about Domenica. Sazerac Bar is also awesome. Think about the Sazerac Bar and these kind of spots in a hotel, like the Davenport Lounge and the Ritz is similar, where you're so like you're there, like all of a sudden you're not hearing New Orleans, you're not any of that stuff's going on, you're just in this room, which if you are going to New Orleans, it's no doubt cool just to like have a drink at these places and then keep it moving. But I would hate for someone to go there and spend hours there, because then it's like, well, you're just in a lobby of a hotel. But the Sazerac Bar is badass.
At the Sazerac Bar inside the hotel. Yeah. The Sazerac drink was actually invented in New Orleans and is thought to be the first or one of the first cocktails ever. The beautiful
Sazerac Bar, absolutely a place where I would recommend getting a Sazerac. Monteleon's another one, the Carousel Bar, or just the bar in the Monteleon. tell you what, man, like Sazeracs are one of those drinks where you have one, you better hold on to your butt. Like it is not a drink you have 3 or 4 of. It is not a have these all over the place. It is like, okay, I'm having one and then night.
Full Art Deco Sazerac bar dates back to the 1930s and really served the best Sazerac I've ever had.
Yeah.
This was a nice little break from all that lowbrow drinking we were doing on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Check out this historic nicotine-stained mural.
Love it.
Providing a little glimpse.
Yeah, I go, we end up at the Sazerac bar quite a bit. It is definitely, it can definitely get congested and packed, which sucks because then you're just getting bumped into and knocked around. But at times when you can sit down at the bar or find a seat on one of the couches or stuff, super nice. And yeah, it is nice after a day of like drinking out of a plastic cup and drinking beers and seltzers and whatever to have like a whiskey or a martini or whatever your drink of choice is, or Negroni or whatever. So, I usually stick to martinis here. I absolutely have had my fair share of Sazeracs here, French 75s, things like that.
Glimpse of what life was like back in the
Bartenders
1930s.
are legit. Expensive. It's an expensive bar. It's like a $17 a drink kind of place.
Okay, back to Bourbon Street, now under the cover of darkness. The barriers were out at this point, so cars couldn't drive down Bourbon Street, which was reassuring. We stopped to check out another street band. This one was a marching band.
Yeah, so Razzoos is back here. So Razzoos and the Beach are 2 big time bars, like club kind of bars, where it's that like, Chief Keef dubstep remix kind of music. You got tons of people in there, straight up like youthful debauchery. The Beach, Razzoos are your 2 spots. Cat's Meow is a little further down, so on the kind of the end of Bourbon Street, or as far as you want to go on Bourbon Street. Cat's Meow is a similar kind of spot, smaller, more of like a karaoke kind of thing. But yeah, in my older age now, Razzoos and the Beach, I think my time is very rarely am I on bourbon. It's just not, at a certain point you're not really looking for what's on bourbon. Certainly when you're 21 to 30, great place.
I could feel that bass drum thumping in my chest and the booze thumping in my head. One block from there, another excellent street band. At this point, we were starting to get hungry again, so we dipped into the gumbo shop on St. Peter's. The gumbo
Yeah, like, never been in the gumbo shop, walked past it a million times, never even thought
shop has been open since 1948 and is consistently awarded as the best gumbo in New Orleans, which I guess makes it the best gumbo in the world. Gumbo is a traditional New Orleans okra vegetable soup, and we ordered multiple variations. Each was better than the next. Definitely the best gumbo I've ever had. We were somewhat close to the hotel at this point, so we decided to go back there and regroup and figure out what we were going to do for the rest of the night. Of course, we stopped and grabbed a window front beer from the brewery next door.
What'd you find, Shane?
All night long, sirens. If I play like Fortnite with like my sister or something, she's always like, "Is everything okay?" It's because they can hear the sirens in the city.
Sometime around midnight, we all headed back out to Bourbon Street for one final last round of punishment. While we were there, I paid a photographer $5 to take a Polaroid of us. I can't say for certain, but we may or may not have stopped at Rick's Cabaret.
It's been a long time since I went to a strip club. Rick's is probably a good bet. There's one off of, there's one by, I think it's right by Desire, by the Royal Sonesta. It's like next to a pizza shop you would never guess is a strip club. I think that I know that's the last one I had been into. But yeah, not my cup of tea. I feel like it's like a hibachi kind of situation where I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should be clapping or if it's just an awkward. I'm just not a fan. Very awkward. I don't like hibachi. I don't like sitting at hibachi tables either. I don't want to be entertained. I just want the food. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to catch a boiled egg or something being thrown at me. I don't want to have to act like I'm being entertained. Not fun.
Well, as you can see from my bead collection, it was a very successful evening. The few of us who were still alive at this point ended the evening with drinks back at the hotel. This was the end of day 2. Sunday morning, day 3, I was definitely feeling a little rough. It also started raining. Most of our crew flew home that morning, but my flight wasn't until 7 p.m., so I had some time to do some sightseeing. I decided to take another chance on Café du Monde. The rain must have scared everyone away because there was hardly a line.
My favorite thing at Café du Monde is probably the frozen cafe au lait. I'm not a big fan of chicory coffee, but the frozen cafe au lait is awesome.
I waited in the to-go line for about 5 minutes and grabbed a bag of their famous beignets and a cup of cafe au
Yeah, frozen cafe au lait right there.
They've been serving this beignet and coffee combo at this location since the 1860s.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure that window, the to-go takeout window you'll see there, I think it's cash only. So make sure you got cash.
In hindsight, though, I should have just gotten a table because the beignets are covered in powdered sugar and super messy. It's actually really hard to eat when you've got your hands full with coffee and a camera. From Café du Monde, I walked toward the French Market and stumbled upon the historic Central Grocery.
Central's awesome. It just reopened. Their renovations are amazing. It looks great in there. Their sandwich shop area is cool. Muffaladas are awesome. Central's great. So yeah, they're open. They're rocking and rolling for a long time because of Hurricane Ida or whatever it was. I think, was it Ida? They shut down, but the renovations are great. So great job for them. Super cool place. Would absolutely recommend going.
Open since 1906, Central Grocery is where the famous muffalata sandwich was invented. The muffalata is a huge Italian deli sandwich stuffed with ham, salami, mortadella, Swiss provolone.
Yeah, muffaladas are great. Love them. Cafe Maspero has a great muffalata. But Central, so when I was a kid, my dad used to go to New Orleans all the time, and he would always go to Central Grocery and he would always come back with a muffalata. He would always come back with the marinated mushrooms and the olives. I don't know what kind of olives are, like the big purple olives. I don't know the name of them. And man, I would just devour the olives. Like they came in a little plastic bowl looking thing, and he'd have a couple of them. But the marinated mushrooms, the olives, and the muffalata, boom. But yeah, love Central. Great place. You can just get jugs of olive oil
and marinated olive salad on a muffalata bread. I got half a sandwich for $18, and I could barely eat it all myself. It was huge and delicious.
That's the problem, man. Like you get a half a sandwich, really a quarter of a sandwich is plenty enough. Half a sandwich is a lot.
I wandered back into the French Quarter and through historic Jackson Square, where in 1803 the French handed Louisiana over to the United States as part of the Louisiana.
So Jackson Square, love sitting in Jackson Square. Super cool spot. I didn't realize this, but horse statues, the way that the horses are in the statue means something. You have to double check me on what exactly it is, but it's like if all 4 feet are down, it means they survived the battle. If 1 foot is up, that means they got injured. There's like all kind of stuff like that, which dictates how the horse is in the statue.
A purchase. On the edge of the square is St. Louis Cathedral, the oldest cathedral in the United States. It was open to the public, so I wandered in just in time to catch a glimpse of Sunday Mass. After the cathedral, I was getting mighty thirsty, so I headed in the rain back up to Bourbon Street for one last beer and some live music at Crazy.
Yeah, so I like to walk. There's a couple good live music spots. Trizzler, what is it called? Ticklers. Ticklers is awesome. It's like a dueling piano bar. There's a couple of cool little spots there. Crazy Quarter is cool, where all the time you can find good live music in just kind of a chill, a little bit more of a chill setting.
Crazy Corner. From there, I met my buddy Sam at the Royal Oyster House for char-grilled Louisiana oysters. They were topped with Parmesan butter cheese and grilled to perfection.
Yeah, I'm more of a purist. I'm more of a raw oyster kind of guy. I'm not like char-grilled or broiled or anything like that. It's like, I'd rather just the straight up like raw oyster. But man, oysters are so expensive nowadays. Like I remember. I'm sure if you, depending on how old you are watching this video, but you remember the days of like 10-cent oyster, 50-cent oyster, whatever. But now it's just like, man, way too expensive.
And that was it. 2 days, 10 guys, and more memories than I can probably piece together. New Orleans didn't just live up to the hype, it completely redefined it. The city pulls you in and spits you out a little different than when you arrive. I came here to see if I could keep up, and while New Orleans definitely won, I'd like to think I held my own. Until next time, Big Easy, and there will be a next time. If you enjoyed this ride,
he said it best. Like you just come out a little different. Like it's just a different kind of place. It's a crazy, crazy place to live. It's a crazy, crazy place to visit. There's just something about it that is, and like, you know, this guy was in the Quarter. He was in pretty much a 5-block radius. He wasn't uptown. He wasn't in the CBD. He wasn't, you know, in different areas, and didn't even go to a lot of the other restaurants and experience some of the other things. And there's a lot to offer. I'm going to tell you, this place has a lot to offer. But all right, there you go. Boom. Great video. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next